Boom. Guys ready?
GOT hype train.
Yeah.
I popped some. Well, we go on mute in between while we're waiting for the songs to finish. I popped some crab aphrodisiac, so I'm ready to go.
Fermented crab, you are set.
That's right. I'm good. I felt like I kind of needed it because I was very lukewarm on the episode as a whole. So here we go. Nick, where did you fall?
Yeah, I was pretty lukewarm too. Yeah, I'm curious as to how they're gonna use some of the little side stories and why they did specific things and how those characters are gonna loop in and how it's gonna pay off and if it's gonna pay off. And we're getting to the end, so yeah, shut up, Ben. I see you. And if why are we we're bringing back people, but we kind of need to consolidate a little bit. I feel like so it's curious.
So anybody following along, feel free to agree or disagree as we go in the comments. We're gonna monitor those. But if you thought this was a good episode, you're wrong.
I thought it was a good episode.
I thought gosh. I'm with Brandon.
We'll get into every single thing. All right.
Sounds like you're on Team Cersei.
I just had free country. You have the right to be wrong. Free country. You have the right to be wrong. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Matt.
All right. So let's start with where we left off last week, which again I chose the worst photo to encapsulate last week's episode. But we ended with basically, this was the only scene with the bankers that was not absolutely epic, or at least really interesting.
Of the episode.
Arya fighting Brienne. Then we ended with one of the coolest action sequences with the dragon and Dothraki massacre, basically. And then this week, again, I am choosing the worst images in advance by having Brandon controlling the Raven, which I guess kind of set up the whole plot going forward. It was like the super pivot point, right?
For sure. I don't think that's a bad shot.
Okay. All right. But yeah, so overall, we've kind of made mention of it. But Brandon, what did you think, or what were your big takeaways from this episode, I guess?
I loved it. Now, it didn't have the climactic battle at the end that the last one did, which is arguably, again, we might go into it at some point, but arguably one of the top 5 episodes of the entire show. It wasn't that, but I thought it was excellent as far as kind of getting us back from that climactic moment at the midpoint of the season and saying, okay, here's what's left. Here's the storylines that are left that we're going to be tracking on. We got an update on some characters that aren't mainline characters. We know where Jorah's at now. But nice little surprise with Gendry coming back. The Brotherhood without banners. One thing I saw on Twitter I thought was pretty funny is that Game of Thrones now has its own Suicide Squad. So I like that they set that up. That obviously what they're doing, the whole concept of going and capturing a White Walker or a White with the object of kind of proving it to the South. That's been a long time thing where people don't believe in what's going on up there. So that's super important, and we now see the mechanism that they're going to do it. So I could keep on going on, but as far as I'm concerned, I thought it was really good. It wasn't, again, not as climactic as the last episode, but I thought it moved the story along really, really well. So I was happy with it.
Ben, what about you?
I agree with Mr. Pentecost over there. I thought it was really good. I know you guys want action and great battles all the time, but you know what? You know what? Sometimes the little twist and webs that they weaved in there is what makes it good.
Little fingers?
Little fingers. Little fingers. Little fingers. Woohoo! They're going to the mattresses.
Literally, yes.
Yeah, they are. So yeah, I thought I liked little things that they set up. Little seeds. They're gonna ripe. They're gonna ripe.
The winning team,
I appreciate
this. Where
it's like the fermented crab.
I guess whereas last episode it was sort of, there weren't that many. It was kind of, we were flipping between just a handful of areas, right? It was just sort of the Arya meeting up with Sansa, then the battle, and then I guess maybe a couple other things. But it seemed much more focused, whereas this was kind of, let's catch up on every single character almost, it felt like. So it gave you a little moment for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked it. I
It's
liked it.
good. It's
And
just very different. It was very different for the last
Season,
episode. Is
season
where
one,
I'm going.
season little peppering, like Littlefinger's gray peppered hair.
I would also argue they've been doing that the last couple seasons, right? So last season we hadn't seen Rickon since season 1. We haven't seen, I think, well, maybe it was season 2 actually, but in the books, Rickon, you don't know what's going on with that. We got to see Rickon come back and Asha, and they were brought back, even though you could argue that what their characters had to do was kind of light. We're getting all the loose ends tied up. They're not leaving it. They're leaving nothing unanswered. They're leaving, and they're doing it, in my opinion, in satisfying ways. But I'm curious if Nick's on the winning team or if he agrees with Matt.
I agree with Matt. I guess I feel like that's maybe that's the winning team. I don't know necessarily, but like, yeah, Rickon, I agree. Like I was thinking about, as you said, that it's kind of similar to Gendry in a way, but the value of Rickon is that he's a Stark, and so you emote for like Jon when Rickon's in danger, and really with like Gendry, I don't really. I guess Arya and him kind of had a relationship, so maybe I could feel some sympathy there, but not really. Like I was just like, oh, I fully suspect he's gonna die. I don't know like why they brought him back. I don't know, maybe
they brought him back so he could go all just
hammer
Donkey Kong hammer on everybody. Like
Stop.
Just let him
hammer
roll.
time.
No. I know exactly why they brought him back. I know why they brought him back. You're talking about Gentry, right?
Gendry. There's no T.
Yeah. Excuse me. They brought him back because he is going to figure out how to forge dragonglass into weapons. That's exactly his importance of this whole show. That's his first thought ahead.
All right.
No, that's the first. He's gonna figure out how to make Valyrian steel. I bet you. I think that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna survive this battle.
Yeah, one of, if not both of those, I think are very good ideas.
That's
why.
Good. That would be good.
So put that in your pipe and smoke
I also
it,
like
Nick.
the references to Ned Stark, bringing us back to first season and the character that we first got invested in the show. Him talking about how our dads work together. I even though when they were, even as he's walking up, I'd forgot about the fact that this is a reunion of. Now we're technically it's not a Stark boy, but as far as Ned's son, but I thought that was meaningful. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. And
Gendry
they're both
never
bastards.
met. Gendry never met or spent any time with Robert. They are both bastards, so they have that.
They have that the double beats.
So speaking of circling back to Rickon, this is the only time to pull up our death pool because the Tarleys had a fiery exit.
For sure.
Just kind of.
Yeah.
I was expecting them to get eaten, but they just got blown away.
I thought it'd be more gruesome if they got eaten. I kind of was hoping they got eaten.
I feel like that would tie together the, why, it would kind of tie more to the Tyrion Varys sort of like, this is uncomfortable. She killed him, and making them like really heighten the how uncomfortable.
I disagree.
They were.
I disagree. I think the fire was much more uncomfortable because that's the association with the Mad King, that he was obsessed with fire.
That's
also,
true.
the fact that biggest thing that the Mad King did that set off the war, Robert's rebellion, as far as Ned Stark and everything, was the fact that he killed Ned's father and his brother in the throne room with fire, and that was a big bloody thing. So I felt like the resonance of him literally ending it. Well, of course, they don't know about Sam, but literally ending a house, they thought by killing him with fire actually was more meaningful.
That's
That's true.
It's still gruesome either way.
Still gruesome. I guess we got the gruesome kill with the guards, the crab horny guards who just got their face smashed in.
I do think Nick's got a big advantage here though, because Bronn's now in Cersei's sights, and that cannot be good. I think Nick pretty much locked in, even if it might be a couple episodes out. I think Nick might have locked something in there with Bronn.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's more dangerous than going up against Drogon.
That's true.
Speaking of, hold on, let me make a little side note. Speaking of Cersei and Bronn, I found a little side note that they actually dated each other. I think previously before the show and stuff, and they have written in their contract, I believe, that they're not allowed to be in the same scene together. So it was that bad of a breakup. So
I think it's in her scene, or in her contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny because so there's a little extra like Bronn, huh?
Oh.
She probably can't wait to kill him.
We got the deep cuts. We got the deep cuts on this podcast.
they are getting very good at CGI, so I think they could pull it off.
Yeah.
They could. Well, some of they actually, like, as sort of scaled back as this episode was, like, they had a bunch of really cool shots, I thought. Like with the Ravens when they went to fly over the White Walkers, that was so good. And then it wasn't
I like how they
necessarily
split
CG.
it away.
Oh yeah,
I like how they split it away when the Night King looked at him.
They've nailed the dragon CG. Like every time it's on screen now, it's just mine. It's like kind of like, whoa,
It's a dragon.
that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was really interesting. If we were picking nits on it, what was Dany thinking when she landed the dragon right there in front of Jon's face? Now, I guess the argument is the dragon was landing on its own and maybe she didn't have control over it, but it was kind of an aggressive move if she was in control of that action. It's like,
yeah. And then she's like trying to see what's going on, like peeking over, like what's happening?
Is he eating him? No. Oh.
Yeah.
That was a good scene. They keep teasing it out, and then also keep reminding us that like Dany's very interested, skeptical. I don't know about you got stabbed in the heart. Tell me about that. And like they're just like, I'm not gonna tell you yet.
Tell me more.
That seems like a very forward thing to ask. So let's get into our stock up this week. I'm not going to go first this time. Just because I want to give you guys, and also I'm struggling to think of mine. So, Nick, why don't you go first?
Stock up. I'll go Littlefinger. Sure. Because I feel like Littlefinger's back at it, and he was kind of down and out a little bit, but he's actually scheming, and Arya is kind of following him around and catching him having side conversations and getting more and more skeptical of him, but it's almost like he's baiting her, and I feel like he's starting to play Sansa and Arya off of each other, where he's building a little bit of like family turmoil there. So that makes me feel better about my pick of Sansa a little bit. I don't think Arya would kill her.
That's a really good point. I like also the fact that Arya is she's been such a badass and so much in control, showing a little bit of weakness when it comes to the cleverness. I think is good for the character as well.
Yeah,
being out clever too. Can I ask you guys a question? I couldn't read fast enough. I didn't want to pause it. But what did the note say that was really glaring? That was
I
really
can tell you exactly what that note is if you want, but we might. I don't know if you want to first go through the stock up.
How can you do that? All I read was steal his throne. That's all I got.
It was the note. It was from Sansa, right? I paused it, but even then I still didn't know what it was.
All right.
So you have to remind us, please.
All right. It was either late in season 1, but I'm pretty sure it was actually season 2. Cersei forces Sansa to write a letter to Robb, telling him basically getting him to bend the knee to Joffrey, telling him this is after Ned's death. There's a big scene where basically Cersei's making Sansa write this letter, and so she's writing it up. I'm pretty sure it was after Ned's death. So this is a letter that she's wrote to Robb, basically telling him to put down arms and basically to chill, etc. So this letter, Arya's going to see it, and she's going to think basically that Sansa was working against them. It's going to rile her up. That's definitely what it's setting it up for. So it's actually a letter that was talked about in the beginning. Matter of fact, I believe when Master Lewin's reading it, I have a memory of a scene where he's reading it, him making them talking about the letter, saying, she was forced to write this, and them kind of agreeing. But obviously Arya wasn't there at that time. So I'd have to go back to season 2, I think, and find that scene just to learn more. But I am 100% confident that is the note.
Well, yeah, I like that. I like that he's playing. I like that he's playing 3-dimensional chess again. Like that's the Littlefinger we've all grown to hate, love a little bit.
He just ran out outside doing his little thing and not paying attention to what he's doing. He's better off. But if Bran comes back, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
I also feel like he ripped a tag off that mattress. I don't know what the punishment is for it.
No,
that's what actually does. It's kind of like tax evasion with Al Capone, right? That's what's going to actually bring him down.
He doesn't care. He's Littlefinger. He'll get away with it.
The Knights of the Vale show up.
So he's one step ahead of everybody. Yeah, you're right. It's nice to see him. But that's a good up, Nick. With him.
So what's yours, Ben?
Okay, well, let's see here. I actually probably would go maybe Jon Snow. Even though he's going into death, I think he's a little up this week. Yeah, this episode for this episode, I think he's up because he's gaining the trust of Daenerys, and he's also, saying, "I'm a king. I can do whatever I want with all due respect." And
I don't need your permission.
And the bond with him and the dragon was kind of like planting the seeds, which I think is the theme for this episode, of great things to come with him. So I think Jon Snow, in my opinion.
All right, would you say they're tired of reading about the achievements of better men?
I thought that was a great.
You like that line?
I love that line about. Yeah, that was a great line.
You guys remember that's a callback, right, to Randall Tarley, what he was saying to Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that he was going to go to be a maester to basically read about the achievements of better men.
Yeah. There you go.
Burn.
All tied together. Burn, literally. Yeah.
Stick on.
No, I liked Jon's kind of. He got back to being sort of less of a bystander, which I kind of like he, taking charge, and
right.
He went to go mine dragon glass, and he's trying to do all this politicking and stuff, but now it's just like, we can get to their scheme or their plan, but it's like, oh, I'm gonna go and capture White Walker, because that's what Jon Snow does.
Yeah, kudos to you, Ben. The last couple of weeks, I've kind of teased you guys when it got to my stock up, but this time you did pick the correct answer. I definitely think Jon's the right answer.
Correct answer.
There's only one answer.
Brandon, Brian or Ben and Brandon are really bonding on this episode. I'm getting my Brands and Bronze and Brian's all tongue-tied.
Any shade that we've had have been totally eclipsed.
They're drilling holes through their armor for each other at this point.
We're eating that fermented crab.
Fermented crab again.
So Jon's the correct answer. I don't know if you're still wanting to throw out another one.
Well, is there anything you would add for Jon, Brandon?
I think he's really said it. And again, you have to say that within the context of just this episode, because if you start bringing in the next episode, we know that even if they succeed in what they're doing, it's not going to be pleasant.
Yeah,
he petted a dragon.
Yeah,
exactly. Winner, you win.
Liked it.
he petted a dragon. He basically in the same episode.
Dragon.
In the same episode that we saw Daenerys tell two people that they could either bend the knee or die. In that same episode, he basically said, "Frankly, I don't need your permission. I'm a king." He said that to her face in her castle. So
and she got the hots.
He's also like very clear. They're onto it for each other. They're like, we're gonna do this at some point, right? Like I'm seeing it now, guys. You've convinced me.
It's very clear he doesn't mind his aunt. He does not have any respect for his aunt. Not whatsoever.
Maybe someone will pay attention to Gilly and they'll figure out. That's
later
before they do anything they
regret. That was a funny scene. That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The one time.
Brandon, who's your stock up? If you had to choose another.
Yeah. If I had to choose and the correct answer was not available to me, such as it is right now, I will go ahead and go with Tyrion. Now, my argument for him being stock up is because he was so low before. So it's really about the arc, right? Because he was so low before. He started the episode, or at the end of the last episode, he didn't know if his brother had survived and everything else. So in this episode, we saw him not only get back into King's Landing, where he's been persona non grata, not only meet up with his brother and get the message across, but survive the ordeal. They've kind of had that meeting with his brother, so that tension's gone. He's returned to his queen successfully. He seems to have her trust again. That bad moment has kind of passed. So I'd make an argument as far as just this episode to where we saw him last episode. It's a stock up for Tyrion. Again, Jon's the correct answer, but I think that one's a good one.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to add. You explained everything with Tyrion. I did like the one thing I would also add was he got that touching moment with Jorah too, like to give him that additional humanity, I guess, that we've come to know with him. But like it's easy to overlook stuff like that. It's like, oh, here's that thing from way back when of this moment we had together, and I'm gonna give it to you now because it's taken on an even more emotionally resonant meaning. So here you go.
Most important
It's
part
like-
is I expect you to bring it back. Bring it
Yeah.
back.
Your queen needs you.
Since
What
you're
are
not
you-
going to get Daenerys, maybe you and I.
So my stock up is a little bit. I mean, it may be a combo, but she didn't have a whole lot to do. But is Cersei,
Good old.
who I think is very conveniently after the decimation of like all of these troops and food and like losing the war now after the tables have turned. It's like, oh, here's an armistice deal for you, and that'll help you out for a while. That it's like, yeah, recharge and get your advantages back. But I also thought it was so. There was that. There was also the fact that from a character perspective, she seems to know every single thing going on. Like she knew exactly that Tyrion. She knew that Tyrion was there, right? She knew of
Right.
the plan and the offer.
Do you think anything happens without me knowing about it?
Yeah, and so that revealed like just how powerful she's become. Also, and she was pregnant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she
Uh,
says.
Yeah.
So she
So
said.
she got her superpowers of like being like her three-eyed raven powers from her pregnancy. That's how pregnancy works, right?
I don't think her knowing everything in King's Landing should be a surprise. Not only obviously Qyburn, but she literally hasn't left King's Landing since episode 1 of season 1.
Ah.
She's been in King's Landing the whole show. Of all the other actors and the different sets they've been on, she has never been anywhere else.
She
She
wasn't
did I
pulled the
forget
right
that?
straw.
wasn't she in Winterfell at all?
He
The
just
first
said that.
episode.
I said
You
of
said that.
season,
Oh,
season
okay.
1, episode
Okay,
1. Since
gotcha.
then, she has been in King's
Listen,
Landing.
Nicholas.
So if anybody knows what's going down there, it ought to be her.
But she does get to know now. She gets to have. It's sort of like she gets to do third baby, right, with Jamie. This is no fourth.
Fourth.
Number 4. So it's like do-over.
Yeah.
After all this tragedy and after how
So,
yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I feel like she was like very kind of sharp with Jamie this episode, though. Like she said something about like, I know what I'm
Perpetrate
gonna
again.
do. I know what I'm gonna do. A soldier should know what he should do, or something like that. Like she referred to him as a soldier, and then I'm pregnant. So it's like I feel like she's manipulating Jamie.
Yes.
Don't betray me again.
Don't
Yeah.
She,
Yeah.
had,
I feel
she,
like-
had, she had the Fredo moment,
I feel like
hey,
she's like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't think she's really been warm and loving with him as much as she's been controlling with him for the past 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I believe one of the things she holds against him, even though he'd been sent away, was the fact that she was being held in the Sept for so long, and he never came. She got
Yeah.
out; he was never there. Now again, he was out and unavailable for it. But as I recall, that's something that's really playing into that relationship. Yeah, and the line that she said there at the end, "Don't ever betray me again."
Yeah.
That one was the step too far almost, I think, as far as her being cold. Because I don't know that we saw her. I don't know that we saw him betray her. And talking to Tyrion wasn't something even she knew wasn't something he planned, and he ostensibly came back and talked to her. Except, I guess the betrayal is letting Tyrion then leave. He obviously that.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah,
the
but that was
betrayal
also-
be letting
Yeah, go ahead.
Tyrion out back after
Yeah.
Joffrey was killed or whatever. Like he freed
Wow.
Tyrion.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
that's a long time ago, but yeah.
End of season 3.
Yeah, well, and also the weight of like this betrayal or whatever was kind of undercut. Which again, this is one of those things. And I'm sure we'll bring up some of the others, but like this was one of those like, oh, good thing they communicated that Jamie found out that it was Olenna and not Tyrion, because that would have had a totally different set of circumstances for when Tyrion wanted to do this meeting. Because it was like now she's kind of like on board with, oh, Tyrion didn't do it.
I don't think so. I think it doesn't matter. I think she still thinks of Tyrion the
So-
same way.
Well,
So the-
yeah,
Either way.
I think that
So-
scene was more for us to explain why Jamie would be more accepting and talk to Tyrion. He was obviously, if he thought he had killed his son and truly, because he truly believed it, whereas I don't
That
know
too.
if Cersei did or not. I thought the scene was more to inform us as a viewer that Jamie has a reason to not immediately kill Tyrion on sight. more
Yeah.
more than it had to do with Cersei personally.
I agree with
Okay.
you.
Before we move on to stock down, I do want to address this because I feel like we'll very quickly overlook it. I'm actually going to technically say Jaime's stock was up, considering he survived drowning.
And apparently
when he
was
came
whisked
up
away
from
about a
water,
mile.
just nobody's there anymore. Like
Yeah.
so they were either way down lake.
It was that because you actually saw the smoke in the distance where the fires were.
Mm.
I'm not saying it's realistic. I also agree that was a problem. How did they move a mile underwater in the armor in the lake or in the river?
Without
That makes-
drowning in that
Yeah.
time. Yeah. So, but
Did
I'm
you
gonna give
see
him the stock
Bronn in the
up.
last episode? Did you see him fire that scorpion and just slice people down? He could swim with 2 armored people on his back. Give me a break.
There's a YouTube
Believable.
video.
It's
Bro.
so
They could have-
believable.
They could have snorkels, like little snorkels,
That's part
Bamboo.
of their armor.
like the cartoons,
Yeah.
little bamboo.
You just
you
see
know?
it.
No, it's like Sonic the
I would-
Hedgehog. There's little bubbles under there that they're catching in their mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like, time. You're gonna die. That'd be funny. if someone-
Oh, get to the surface.
And I refuse also to believe, if you're getting real literal with it, that there wouldn't be some Lannister soldiers that had ran from the battle, even in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh God.
We have a con-
That was frustrating as the guy who was like really on board with the prisoner exchange dynamics that could happen, and to see that within like they won't do that. There's no way. That's like, even for this show, that's kind of unrealistic. But of course that's what happened. But then when you think about it, it's like, and we talked about this last week, who was going to communicate everything that happened, like all the exact details of the dragon and the Dothraki and the actual danger. Like they needed that step of the process to happen, and so it made sense to do it this way. But
We have one comment that says Bronn is a superhero. I totally agree.
did
Yeah.
Nick write that?
no, Nick didn't.
Nancy's
Okay.
absolutely right.
She is Super Bronn. Anyways,
He's just got to get what's owed to him, though. Till I get what I'm owed, no one gets to kill you.
yeah.
Do you like my impressions? They're all the same voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they are. If there's anything our podcast is known for.
Yeah.
So let's do our stock down for this week. Same order. Nick, go.
Oh shit. Stock down. I'm gonna say Jon Snow. I don't know why. Yeah, like this episode was just okay. He petted a dragon, and like I just feel like it's kind of a weird plan to go catch a white and bring it to Cersei. That just
Here we
kind of
go.
feels.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah,
Let's talk about
oh,
this
hey,
plan.
like it was just kind of, hey, let's go get a white and let's
Yep.
like take it to Cersei, and because
Makes
we
total
just
sense.
we just killed all of our people and we almost have won King's Landing and we got a lot of our army to bend a knee, but now because we got half of our army, now let's go get a white and bring it.
Let's just put a pause on our global takeover that is going swimmingly well, and go capture a White Walker because we got a
Well,
message.
They still
When
don't have an
everybody's
answer, though. They still don't have. It's not going swimmingly well in the fact that if she refuses to use her dragons on the city, because they don't have a good answer for how to take
But-
them as well. The
Well, she could
Dothraki aren't going to
She
be.
could just fly a dragon into the Red Keep and blow up Cersei and save a lot of
Blackhawk
people.
down it.
You could make a
Yeah,
bit. You could make a
helicopter.
better argument that she could fly a dragon over and maybe spot some White Walkers and get her proof that way.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
a
but-
million, there's a million different things, but to send
But even-
to travel all that way just to capture one of them and then bring it all the way back,
And also,
and to get
Ben,
Cersei to see it.
also, just okay. This is my down, Ben. So you wait a second.
Yeah,
You
you're
How is
gonna
this a
wait
down
back.
on John? I definitely want a
saying it, yeah.
definition of what
I've been
being
waiting for a
down
while.
means.
I'm just kidding. Jesus. So I also think it's ham-fisted. They got 8-9 guys and they're going and hey, we're gonna get one instead of like, hey, let's have a plan about how we're gonna get one. And then also there was a little bit of lovers quarrel between Jorah and Danny. You could see like him and Jorah giving each other like, hey, are you moving in with my girl kind of thing. Like Jorah kissed Danny's hands and there was a little bit of eyeballing and stuff like that. I feel like Jorah's like side-eyeing Jon a little bit. So it's interesting because Jon is now like he doesn't fully trust Beric and the whatever that group is called, and so now he's kind of surrounded by people. Like he has a couple people that he can really trust, and a couple people that he can't completely trust, and it's
if the worst thing Jon's got going on is that he got side-eyed by Jorah, I think Jon's doing great.
Hey, he got cock blocked a couple
times.
That
dude that everybody knows has a major disease and is cured. Yeah, the old guy. Yeah, he's gonna challenge me for Danny's hand. Okay.
The guy that's 30 years older than me.
The guy that's already so deep in the friend zone he can't even see the edge of it.
and now he's all scarred with grayscale. Here. I wanted to make a point.
Go ahead.
I wanted to make a lot of fermented crab.
I wanted to make a point about the whole getting the White Walker situation. I feel that they want to I feel like the direction of the show, maybe the books as well. I haven't read the books, so I don't know how far they are in the books. I feel that they're going to try to do a 180 on us and try to have at some point, like maybe this is like if they realize the White Walkers are coming, that maybe instead of a big war between everybody else, that they're going to try to convince everybody to fight the White Walkers, and it's going to be kind of this like maybe they fight the White Walkers, they get done. Okay, now we're going to go to war with each other. So I think maybe they are setting up the potential of everybody who's going to work together to try to fight the White Walkers. I don't think that's 100% likely, but that's a thought I had when they wanted to do that, just to convince.
It seems like you would just have to reboot all of the existing dynamics after that war. Like I mean it seems like a weird way to go. Like I personally, it seemed like a weird plan just to get like let's send Jon and apparently nobody, just a group of 7 people,
because no one believes
get it,
because no one believes them yet. They don't 100% believe them.
The people at the Wall did, right?
Yeah, no, the Wall did, but she could send one freaking dragon. Yeah,
right. You're gonna need pretty much every living being to get involved to be able to beat this army.
Absolutely.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is that if your plan is to go capture one for the sake of providing proof, it seems weird to like
take 3 guys.
Yeah, and then
not have like a human trap of some sort or like any sort of.
All right, let me
go ahead. Just like literally, if Beric and those guys weren't there, they would have had 4 or less guys. Like it would have been 3 dudes. Let's get one, and we'll just throw them in a sack and drag them back. I guess. Like what's gonna happen?
Let me share a couple of quick things. First, from a book perspective, I'll be fully honest. I don't think this particular plot is going to be in the books at all. I don't think this is going to be from the books. I don't think the books is going to go here. I do agree. There's a little bit of taking the story element and kind of making it for the show that's going on here. And I think you're probably feeling a little bit that, because it probably feels a little out of alignment from the overall way in which George R.R. Martin tells a story. I do think there is a big question, a big problem, and they've been setting this up for years. From literally when Tyrion was going to the Wall, he talked about grumpkins and giants or whatever, and how they didn't believe that the magical stuff. A lot of people have to see to be convinced. So I do think this story does this plot does fit with the overall story of having to figure out a way to convince the other people that it's real. I agree, though, that it feels compared to some of the other things, I do feel it feels more surgically inserted as opposed to naturally occur. Yeah, of course. But I don't think it's all gloom and doom and the pain that's clearly on your face, Matt.
So explain to me why Daenerys is going to do this. Is it just because she's like got the hots for Jon Snow? Is that it? Like, I don't understand it.
I think that she believes that I think she's slowly starting to come to that she believes it. I also think that she doesn't want to give, even if she believes it, she doesn't want to give up on the war to turn and that she doesn't want to give up on the war to turn and face that. She needs Cersei and the war to basically everyone involved, because they all have a stake in it, in her opinion, to get on board with this. Now, we know as viewers how far you can trust Cersei.
Yeah,
I think that's what she's planning, and I think that's going to create some story opportunities.
Thank you so much, commenter. So she just gets one episode, she sees some cave drawings, and is like, okay, I'm kind of on board.
But she doesn't believe. She doesn't believe.
She's still skeptical. But then in this episode, it's just like, I got the hots. I'm gonna pause this this war that I could. That is what happened.
Wait,
That's exactly what happened.
It's not because
what cause did she
It's
do?
3 against 1. We have this commenter who agrees with me and Matt.
No.
Three-
Hold on, let me. No, she doesn't have the hots for him. She's like, if she believed him 100%, she would send a whole fleet of people with him. You know what I mean?
Too, Nick.
So
Yeah,
what you're
what I
saying,
meant.
so you're saying from a strategic standpoint, where just in the previous episode she was willing to like, I need to show strength, and I'm gonna get on my dragon and go kill, and
And she
ultimately
did.
proved
And-
right.
yeah.
But like the caution that everyone was giving about it, like that's kind of dangerous. You probably shouldn't do that. It, like last episode, it was like throw caution to the wind. I'm doing it, no matter what. Even
No,
just
she
'cause-
didn't go to the city. She was talking about burning down the city and going to the Red Keep and setting it ablaze. People was like, no, that will just
Okay,
make you
so
just
she
as bad as the
pivoted
other.
a little
And
more.
she did.
Okay.
She realized, and she even said it in her speech to the men. She's like, everyone, Cersei's telling you, I'm going to melt your cities and make orphans out of all of you. Here, I came to the battlefield. I did a battle. This was war. So, and what did you talk about this, how she's pivoting. What exactly has she committed to this expedition? Jorah, who was a person that she didn't even realize she was going to get back. So
It's not what she committed. Like how long, from a time standpoint, how long is this going to take for them to ride horses or boats all the way up there, find a White Walker, capture it, go all the way back? How long is that going to take?
A
'Cause that
year.
means-
90 minutes.
It's going to take long
60
enough for her Dornish allies that lost their transportation to get alternate transportation to move into position. She actually has some motivation to actually stall.
One full up.
You have the motivation for her.
What do I care about the Dornish?
No, but you're coming up with reasons for them to like fill the time. Like I don't think that was not apparent in the episode. Like she just kind of is just like nodding
not
along
apparent.
to everything that's happening.
Okay, it's not apparent in the episode though that there was a next step she was planning to take. Let's take the northern thing out of the equation. If she wasn't going to go melt the city, the Dothraki don't have siege engines. She doesn't have anything that we know of that she can take a city with, as far as siege engines and whatnot. The only reason they had what they did at Castle Rock is because it was hardly defended. So I don't think there's any reason for us to believe that any plan has changed. If she, again, assuming she wasn't going to just go and melt King's Landing. So you're right. Let's leave the Dorne out of it. I don't know of anything that's changed other than Jorah, which again was a piece she didn't even know she had. I think you're putting too much weight.
It doesn't make any sense to me why they wouldn't. So then are you just saying that they would have had to wait regardless of this revelation to like go get like what is her plan once they catch the White Walker? Maybe they fight together. Like
I don't know.
I guess I don't really understand. Like we're gonna team up with Cersei, and then we're just gonna hope one of us relents, and then we'll just start this all over again.
They're gonna have a white wedding where they plan to marry Jon Snow to Cersei, and then they're gonna show her the white at the wedding, and then it's gonna kill Cersei. That's the big plan because they all die at weddings.
Yeah.
Spoiler if you just started watching at this episode.
Take it the other direction, Matt. Let's say this northern expedition was not planned. She was going to continue to keep Jon sitting on the island as a prisoner / guest. What do you think she was doing next? What is it that you feel like it's been traded?
Something that was going to further the cause, I guess. Like, what's our next step to?
So the cause
of
taking the throne from Cersei, which she's increasingly starting to realize is not the most important thing.
But I guess the thing she's slowly realizing isn't the most important thing. Like the evidence in the show of her making that transition seemed kind of weak to me. Like cave drawings and then her just kind of believing him.
Yeah,
that's it.
You have no imagination.
I'm
just going off of the.
I don't even care about that much. It's just like, why do they want to parlay with Cersei? Like, what do they plan to gain out of that? And then why the hell is Jon Snow, who is supposedly smart and like a good general at this point, maybe not even that good of a general because he screwed up in the Battle of the Bastards too, and rightfully should have died in that battle because he let his heart get in the way. But like he is going up there with a stupid ass plan. I feel like I don't know
what the plan is, though. I don't know that we know it's stupid. You could say it's undefined, but
it's undefined. Yeah, that's stupid.
Well, undefined to us as viewers. I don't know that means they don't have a plan.
It sure as hell seems like they have a plan to get a White Walker or whatever.
They got
white.
They got a dude that can't die. That's always a good thing to have.
Who's
But
that?
they
They've got
didn't
the
know
mount-
that.
They've got what's that?
Who's
They
the guy?
didn't know they would have that.
Oh, I agree.
Before.
Even
Yeah.
when
That's
they asked, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Even though he said, "Yes, I'm sure," he did not look confident. He did not look like he, was
This is like the all stars of badass weapons because John has
Yeah.
the sword, Barrick has the fire sword, the Hound is just a badass. Then you got the hammer. Like this is like Gauntlet. This is like a 4-person game of Gauntlet.
That's
Gauntlet
actually a great
Legends.
segue. That's actually a great segue to something. I am stunned that we did not see, and I assume we'll see it in the next episode somewhere. I'm stunned that we did not see a conversation between John and Jorah talking about the fact that John, around his
Sure.
waist, the Valerian steel sword he has is Jorah's,
His dad's, yeah.
right? Longclaw was the
Yeah.
Mormont Valerian
We're
steel
gonna
blade.
We're gonna get some more side eyes between Jorah and John.
We'll get
That's
that
even
next
more
episode.
though. It's like not only does he take his lady, he's got his blade.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. But what he doesn't realize, it's his aunt. It's his aunt the whole time,
Meanwhile,
you know-
in King's Landing, somebody's
anybody-
pregnant by their brother.
If anybody's going to take that news, and trumpet it loud, it's going to be Jorah. Oh my gosh,
All right.
he's your nephew. He's your nephew.
He's nephew. He's nephew.
You guys are related. Sorry.
Yeah, man.
You want
Finds
to
out
get
half-
some dinner or something?
Finds out halfway on the mission, he'll bug out early to head back to tell her.
I did like the scene.
He just disappears.
I did like the scene with Jorah looking back at her. That was like really
Oh,
kind of a sweet little moment. Yeah, but I think they'll address the sword situation when they're next episode when they're walking. Probably talking about their plans and
It'll
stuff.
probably be some good character building moments to kind of give some feeling that they're not just immediately walking in right there. They're with the
Yeah.
White Walker, right?
Yeah,
People can't.
Matt was asking how long is it going to take him to do that. I go 60 minutes. It's like 60 minutes to get the White Walker and come back. To the King's King's
yeah,
Landing.
The positive thing is I think the guy who's directing the next 2 episodes directed Hard Home, and that was like probably my favorite thing ever. So
You guys see
there's
the next,
probably gonna be good stuff, but yeah.
Yeah.
did everybody
So-
see week on?
What?
I saw like 2 seconds of it when I came back from the bathroom.
The
Oh, yeah, the next week.
Nick
Mhm.
is spot on.
So let's quickly try it. And is there any other stock downs that we want to hit this week? We haven't really even talked. We mentioned Littlefinger. I guess we could talk about Arya even.
Yeah, I think
because
she's
she's been.
It
Yeah,
was,
go ahead.
It was. I think it was needed stock down, but I definitely agree with Arya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go
She,
with I'll say
what'd you
Sansa
say,
too.
Nick?
She's a little bitchy, and I feel like she's being played to look
Yeah.
played against Arya to look like she's conspiratory. So she like her position while it's rising in the eyes of people in Winterfell, it's like it's becoming dangerous, I
Yeah.
guess, in terms of her relationship with her family.
Wonder if the same people. I didn't go back. I need to go back and look, but I wonder if the same people that were bringing up and questioning John in the middle of that council were the same people that Littlefinger was talking to after. I know one was Sir Royce, but I don't know about the Glover. But it would be interesting if he was getting them to kind of speak up support of her over John in that council for the explicit purpose of kind of pissing off Arya. So he's
Yeah.
doing it both ways, which is total
I think-
Littlefinger action.
I think
Yeah.
so.
3-dimensional chess.
Mhm,
He's onto
absolutely.
it.
I do think it's a small one. It's real small, and we already talked about it. But I definitely think Bron's stock is down because he's in Cersei's sights, and we know how that goes. Just ask the Tyrells.
I also I think Jamie's stock's down a little bit. Like he went through all this crap, even though he's still alive, and his sister / lover is just like throwing him under the bus, and
He just
Just
found
like-
out he's going to be a dad uncle again.
I know, and then don't betray a dunkle,
Dunkle Jamie.
Uncle Jamie.
Yeah. So mine, the only other one I think we can, and I don't even know if it's a stock down, honestly, would be, well, to some degree, Gilly, but I would say Sam is also down just from the sake, just from the stance, like he sort of is in this like empowered, like as a character, like his development is very, like I would say up. I wouldn't knock that, but from within the show, like him having gone and like, this is my dream to be a maester and all this stuff, and then he like just comes to this realization of how, and maybe they're manipulating him, but it seems like over time it's like
Counterpoint.
Go ahead.
We just saw proof that he is now the Lord of House Tarly. Although I guess
that's true.
Actually, I'm going to counter my own counterpoint, because when you take the black, you rescind all titles. At the very least, we know he has a Valerian steel called Heartbane sword that no one's going to be coming for now. So
there you go.
That would be the big thing. Also, I think with the house, I do think they'd probably hold on to it unless, let's say, a former Lord Commander ends up becoming king and rescinds that rule. But yeah, no one's coming after his sword, and he's got a pretty killer sword there.
Yeah.
And he's really good at swords play, so it's in good hands.
Gonna look awesome up on the wall.
Yeah.
So where do you guys think Sam is going?
Yeah, no, he didn't say it, and I was wondering that. I don't have a clue.
It has to be north, right?
It could be north, but if maybe because the Citadel gets a lot of information. They clearly with the other Ravens and stuff, so maybe he's gonna go to Dragonstone. His
logical destination would probably be towards Castle Black, but stopping at Winterfell because it's on the way. And he would expect to probably be bumping into Jon there, because I don't know if he knows. I guess he probably does know that Jon's at making it to Dragonstone, I think, would be tougher than it would be for him to get up to Winterfell.
Probably get a Winterfell, because they got that letter from Bran that they saw, and that came from Winterfell. So I don't know. I feel like that's a logical stop.
So maybe I shouldn't have put Sam here. Maybe we should have just put the Citadel here. Because I just don't understand. I do not understand those characters at all. I know they're supposed to be, we know all history and all facts, and so book read and have seen the patterns of time and the trends, and we're not going to overreact. Man. But
yeah, I think the story there is that even people who are open-minded and are listening to, because they're not ruling it out completely, right? They're saying, well, it could be. But we need to get more information.
The one guy was.
The main guy.
The main guy, the one that matters. The one that matters the most.
That's true. He believes Sam.
He said from the beginning that he believes Sam, but that things stand the test of time, and he's got this laissez-faire attitude about it. And I do think, to Nick's point, it's kind of a commentary on academics, and sometimes you got to take action on things. I think there's some commentary in there in the story.
It's very true. That's very true. I feel that, Nick, too. There's a good book called The Tao of Pooh. If anyway, I recommend it. It talks about Taoism through the eyes of Winnie the Pooh. It's really good.
Okay.
And this is relating to it, but it kind of talks about academics a little bit, and they're kind of like Friend Owl, where they're not as experienced with it. You know what I mean? They don't see the urgency of it. And as knowledgeable and as full of wisdom they are. They're more full of knowledge and not wisdom, because they don't see they don't have experience. And I think wisdom is experience.
They have paralysis by analysis in academic fields. They just will analyze and analyze and analyze, except for my wife when they do research. That way they can write papers and stuff like that. I don't think she's watching though. So, but she's she joined. I saw her in the. She's changing the game, and I don't hear any stomping outdoors. So
she popped up over your shoulder. She's in the room.
So
she's pulling the playground. Yeah. She's hiding like this. It's like, how can you not see her?
I guess, yeah. I just didn't. I get this is commentary on accurate, but what are they doing the rest of the time?
Eating gruel and pooping.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. They actually gave us the rundown at the start of the season.
I actually think there's some linkage. I actually think there's some linkage that could be made here to your earlier comment on what's the purpose of getting a white and bringing it down and making a big deal of it. I think having a white and convincing the Citadel too would be very important to getting that message out. So
that's true. They even went out of their way to talk about how much influence they do have.
Correct.
So that's a good
I think
point.
these things are all tied together. Again, some of the things might feel a little ham-fisted and whatnot, but I do think these writers are very intentional, right? So I think whenever we're getting a little bit of a clue or we're getting a little bit of a bread trail, it always goes somewhere, regardless of what, and you may not like it, but it's going somewhere.
Do you think that they are going to take this story once they get the white and parade the white around, and they're going to try to teach it and educate it like the Elephant Man? You know what I mean? To try to. That's the story they're going to go to, and then like forget the war.
They chain it up like Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah,
it's
play
gonna be
video
like
games with it.
It's gonna be like Dawn of the Dead, and they're gonna try to teach it how to shoot an arrow.
Yeah, man.
Give it.
I think it'd be much better to do a Weekend at Bernie's thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like My Fair Lady. Like they're going to teach it to
speak.
to speak. You know, like and they're gonna have a dancing number. You know.
Oh, you're making.
Winter is coming.
One thing that I noticed though. One thing that I noticed that Sam said in the Citadel when he was in like the lunchroom with all the maesters or whatever, he said that Bran survived years north of the wall.
Right.
So I guess this has all been going on for years.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any huge sense for seasons, but yeah, like you didn't really have any spot on sense for the amount of time, but I guess years. I don't know. That was interesting to me.
You can just tell by his size. He's
gotten larger, but
Mhm.
you know.
He's gotten brander.
Brand. He's on brand.
Any other where do you guys think so we're heading into the second to last episode, which is in general with TV sometimes where they put in some of the coolest big moments. What do you guys think is going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're going to get a White Walker, or maybe not. Maybe they won't. Maybe their mission will fail.
It's very committal. They might get one, but maybe not.
Into it.
I think they're going to fail their mission, but I think Jorah is going to survive. I think a few other people are going to survive, and Jorah and a few other people are going to tell. Jorah is going to say to Dany, "Yes, these things are real. I just fought them," and that's the 100% confidence that she'll need to fight these things. But they still have to fight the war on both fronts. That's what I think that's going to happen. I think Dany is going to be stuck in between a rock and a hard place, and she's going to have to send her armies up there, and Cersei's is going to try it. So by realizing the greater threat, she's going to be thinned fighting up north, and Cersei's going to get stronger and stronger, and they're going to it's going to be like a crazy war on both fronts. So I think they're not going to get the white. I think they're not going to get it, and a few people are going to die. And maybe here's another thought: Jon will get the sword from the fire sword, maybe, because he's the princess that is promised.
He's going to dual wield.
The prince that is promised.
Oh, I thought you said the prince that was promised.
No, he's the prince that is promised because he's supposed to wield a sword of fire, and Jorah will get back his sword. That's what I think is going to happen.
That's okay.
I think
Brandon, go ahead, Nick.
No,
because that guy's gonna, what's his name's gonna die. The
guy that never dies.
Yeah, he's gonna finally die, and he'll be a White Walker.
That would be the good turn, actually, to show that show the one that is usually immortal getting turned. That's probably the way to solve it, or to kill off Thoros, or I guess, but.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I feel like maybe they would bring Euron back a little bit, so there might be a little of like stuff there, a little more of the Winterfell Littlefingery, and then I feel like we're gonna get a pretty good like half hour of north of the wall white battle.
Yep.
And maybe they're gonna get one
White fight.
I guess they got to get one, because otherwise it would just be way too stupid for them to be going up there.
Well, but maybe they get one. Maybe they get one, but maybe they get one, but like maybe the transmission from the White Walkers is not that strong, and it just kind of turns back to dead body once they're a certain distance away. You know what I mean? So like, like,
they're like a hive mind now.
You
Hive
have
mind.
to be so close to the White Walkers for it to work, and they're like,
So
so
like a Wi-Fi signal.
yeah, it's like a
You
Wi-Fi.
gotta
That could be a
tap the-
possibility.
He
All right.
taps his horns a little bit to get more.
You know
like,
what a bit a better
triangulation.
plan is to find a dead body, which are in everywhere in this world, and then to just like freeze it, and then just be like, hey, check this out, and jiggle its arms around.
It's gonna have to be. All right, I fully believe the mission will be successful. I think it will be costly. I think it will be dramatic. I think that's what they're building up to. As far as obviously into the next episode. So I kind of agree with Nick, even though I was kind of defending it. You don't do all this just for it to be nothing, right? So I do think they come back with a white, and I don't know that we see the overall results of it this season, but I think basically everyone gets the evidence planted right in front of them when this thing's over. I also think, and I said this at the beginning of the season, I think this entire season is episode 2 in the fact that it's Star Wars episode 2, in the fact that it's supposed to set us in a dark place where we don't know how things are going to go as we then head on into the next season.
You mean Empire episode 5?
Sorry. Yeah.
This was
Empire
episode
Strikes
5. Boom.
This is SETI Alpha 5. Sorry. That was
I'm actually starting to think, I'm starting to come around, and maybe it's just because it felt so forced in, I'm responding to the mission to go get a white. Because I don't think Cersei, even if they bring one back, I don't think they're going to be. I keep talking about they need to convince Cersei. That is the plan, right? Like, this is proof for everybody.
And everybody, not just.
I don't think she's the only one, right? I think Dany's leading her, but I think she would benefit from seeing. But you're right that's definitely one of their goals that they
right.
Yeah.
So I think even if they did that successfully, I don't think like she's not going to commit to anything, even if they're together. Like they'll just say, "Well, it's not my problem. They're all the way up there."
Or if she does.
You guys,
I don't know that you can trust her.
That's what I think, Brandon.
So I think what has to happen is they need to be on her doorstep, and so I kind of see this as the lead in to getting them through, bringing them, like sort of setting the trail straight to Cersei, which makes me believe that the next episode, as much as we're going to get this cool action with the White Walkers and everything, I think we will get the plot maybe shifting back to Dany versus Cersei in a more focused battle again. Like, there won't be any like I'm just gonna wait, and it's not gonna be all strategy. I think the battle will start up again. So,
can I make one comment that we talked before the episode, like the bet? Finally, Theon wasn't in this episode. Thank you, Jeebus. Thank you so much. He had too much screen time. So I'm just happy for that. That's why this is a great episode.
Do we want to make predictions on who we think won't survive the next episode? Since we are sending a Suicide Squad up north of the wall.
Thoros, Beric,
Jorah,
Tormund.
Jorah, please die.
The Hound's gotta live. The Hound's gonna live because they're gonna have the Clegane Bowl. They're gonna have the Mountain versus.
They gotta get rid of one person we actually care about, and I feel like it's Tormund or Jorah.
I think it's a good argument.
We gotta Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I think Gendry was added so we have a named red shirt. So I think that's his purpose in this. I also wonder, kind of a side note, I think it would be interesting story-wise if Beric dies, Thoros goes to revive him, and the powers don't work near the Night's King. I think that would be compelling and unlike, oh crap, we thought the Lord of Light or the Red Priests might be a weapon in this, and they ain't nothing here. They have no power.
I would just like them to die and then get stabbed in the chest like Jojen, and then them to just be like, "This was a stupid plan. Let's get out of here."
but what if he's the proof? Like, what if one of them's the proof? What if like one of them dies and one of them's the proof?
I like that.
That's the thing.
Oh,
I
so you
have-
just
One
need
of
to
them
get
dies.
close
What
to
if
the
it's Jorah?
army.
What if it's
kill one of your
Jorah's-
guys.
Yeah, kill him and he comes back alive, and they go, oh crap, we have him.
So
You know,
are there
and like,
any
so one of them is the proof.
are there
Yeah,
And
any
that'd be like emotional.
are there any big fans of the Clegane Bowl theory here that are like thinking that the mountain has plot armor? Excuse me, not the mountain, but that the hound has
Hound.
plot armor that will save him through this so he can battle the mountain at some point?
Not
I think he'll
completely.
get out. I think he'll get out, and they're gonna battle the mountain. They
We've
have
talked
to.
about-
They
we've
have
talked
to.
Clegane Bowl before, right, guys?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
we did.
It's just something on my mind. When I think about who might die, I think, well, if they kill him off, they're basically saying no to Clegane Bowl. So unless he's the one they bring back that's undead and they have him fight the mountain who's already undead. That's another thing. They're talking about bringing an undead back to Cersei who has the mountain who arguably is that.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah. Yeah, it's a good
This
point.
is like the mountain, just like colder.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
doesn't obey you.
and more like a Borg. And more like a Borg. Oh, we got a comment. What's this comment said, Matt? Can you read that? It was a good prediction.
Just that Barrick, maybe since Barrick has not died for Lady Stoneheart, he will give his life for Jon instead.
Yeah, so in
That'd be
the
cool.
books, I think we've talked about that before, right? Or have we talked about Lady Stoneheart?
Yeah, I think
Because
so.
it is definitely not happening in the show. But in the books, Barrett keeps being resurrected until he finds Catelyn Stark after the Red Wedding. He basically I don't know if Thoros is involved or not, but he essentially gives up the life force that kept resurrecting in him to bring her back. So I really like that thought a lot.
Interesting.
Well, it'll be interesting, and it's surely going to be awesome because we've been promised so much, and now we're down to the last two, which is usually where it all happens. So
I agree, but don't call me
pretty
Shirley,
pumped.
please.
And
No.
The director of the next two, 3 out of his 4 were 99 out of 100 on IMDb. So he shoots and he scores.
So,
And
do
you
you
better
think
not
they'll be
disappoint
able to
Nick.
get? Do you think they'll be able to get the rights to Hammer Time for
For
Gendry
Gendry?
when he goes up there? Okay.
Too legit.
I didn't
Too
see
legit
how much parachute he had in his pants. So
Well, they
Just goes
could-
up and-
To your point
pop
earlier,
way
they
out.
could get the Donkey Kong game music, right?
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll be back next week
Yeah, thanks.
for episode 6. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, guys.